Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel Arunodayam's Biology. Today we are going to learn about a transportation topic from life process chapter. Transportation from a life process chapter. So in our previous classes, in our previous videos, we have learned about two important life process in our living organisms, that is nutrition and respiration. Isn't it? So in nutrition we have seen how we are taking food material and how it is getting digested, and in respiration we have seen how that digested food will break down and release energy. So we have seen those two life process in our previous videos. Now we are going to learn one more important life process in our body, that is transportation. That too, especially in this video we are going to learn transportation in case of animals. Okay, first of all, what is meant by transportation? Let us see the definition of transportation. Movement of substances from one place to another is called as in the body is called as transportation. Movement of substances. Substances means in the sense they may be either solids, liquids, or gaseous substances. The substances may be solids, liquids, or gases. For example, the food which we are taking contains carbohydrates, proteins. We can call them as nutrients, isn't it? So we are taking nutrients into our body. So they are considered as solid substances. So we are taking some salts into our body. Okay, so salts, nutrients, all these comes under solid substances. Okay, all these comes under solid substances. And we will take liquid substances also into our body. We are taking water, isn't it? We are taking water, and in our body we have a blood and lymph also. So these are considered as liquids. Next, gaseous substances. So, oxygen, carbon dioxide are the gases which has to get transported in our body, isn't it? Oxygen has to enter into our body and has to supply to all the cells of our body, and carbon dioxide, which is present in all the cells, has to get rid of our body. So, all these substances has to move from one place to other place, isn't it? All these solids, liquids, and gaseous substances has to move from one place to other place, one cell to other cell. That movement of substances from one place to other is called as a transportation in our body. Okay, that is a transportation. First of all, what is the main component of transportation? The main component of transportation in our body is blood. Is a blood. So in our previous class, that is in ninth class, we have studied that blood is a fluid connective tissue. Blood is a fluid connective tissue which transports food, oxygen, and waste materials. So the food which we take, the waste materials which are produced in our body, and the oxygen which we are taking, all these substances has to move from one place to other place with the help of this blood only. Okay, that's why we are calling this blood as a fluid connective tissue. Once again, I'm explaining you. Blood is called as fluid connective tissue. Why? Because actually blood is present in liquid state, isn't it? It contains a lot of water in it. It is present in liquid state with some solid substances suspended in it. Okay, it has liquid with some solid substances suspended in it. That's why it is called as fluid. And why blood is called as connective tissue means blood is the substance which passes or which flows from our head to toes, isn't it? Blood is the only substance which connects all the cells from head to toe in our body. Blood is the only substance which can connect, which can pass through all the cells present in our body. As blood is passing through all the cells present in our body, it is taking the responsibility of transportation also. It is taking the responsibility of carrying these solids, liquids, and gaseous substances throughout the body also. Okay, now you might understand why blood is called as fluid connective tissue. Next, coming to the composition of blood. What are the components present in blood? Actually, blood contains plasma and blood corpuscles. Blood contains nearly 55% of plasma and 45% of blood corpuscles. Within this for 55%, plasma has nearly 90 to 91% of water. Okay, 90 to 91% of water, and remaining it has salts, proteins, electrolytes, hormones. So all these substances are present in dissolved state in water actually. Okay, so blood contains nearly 55% of plasma. Again, in this plasma, 90 to 91% of water is present, and remaining percentage it has a hormones, electrolytes, proteins, salts, etc. are present, which are in a dissolved state. And 45% of blood corpuscles are present. Now, blood corpuscles means nothing but blood cells. Blood cells actually, our body has three types of blood cells, three types of blood corpuscles: red blood corpuscles, white blood corpuscles, and blood platelets. Red blood cells, white blood cells, and blood platelets. So these are the three types of blood corpuscles present in our body. So 55% of plasma and 45% of blood corpuscles. And coming to the functions, plasma helps in the transportation of food, carbon dioxide, and nitrogenous waste materials. It helps in the transportation of food, which we take, carbon dioxide, which we have, which is produced during respiration in our cells, and nitrogenous waste materials, which are produced during metabolism in our cells. So all these substances it transports through plasma only in dissolved state. All these substances are dissolved in plasma, and along with blood they will get transported to all the cells. And coming to blood corpuscles, especially red blood cells help in the transportation of oxygen. So already we know that red blood cells contains a red color pigment called hemoglobin, isn't it? Hemoglobin has very high affinity for oxygen. So red blood cells help in the transportation of oxygen, whereas coming to white blood cells, they help in giving immunity to our body, and blood platelets help in the clotting of blood during injuries. So that is a function of these two components of blood. Next, for all this function has to take place, we need a pumping organ in our body. Okay, for the transportation of all these substances, we need blood. Okay, along with blood, we need a pumping organ also. Okay, that pumping organ in our body is a heart. Heart. Okay, and along with heart, we need some network of tubes also. That means blood vessels. We need some blood vessels, just like arteries, veins, blood capillaries. There are three types of blood vessels present in our body. Of course, we are going to learn them later. So along with blood, we need one pumping organ, that is heart, and a network of tubes called blood vessels we need. And we need a system also, a separate system, that is a circulatory system or transportation system is needed, which will keep all these things in the form of a network. So pumping organ is a heart. It contains some tubes called as blood vessels. These blood vessels carry blood. So all these are present in the form of a system that is called as a transportation system or circulatory system. So if any obstructions occurs or if any repairs occurs, the system will help in repairing itself. Okay. So we need all these things for transportation of substances in our body. Okay. So first of all, we have learnt about the definition of transportation, and we have learnt that blood is the main component of transportation, which contains plasma and blood corpuscles help in the transportation of these substances. And along with blood, we need a pumping organ, heart, a network of tubes called blood vessels, and this whole system called as a circulatory system is present in our body, which will help in the continuation of these life process. Okay, now let us learn about our pumping organ, that is heart. Let us learn about our pumping organ, which is heart. The pumping organ present in human beings is heart. Of course, it is present in all the chordates, that means in all the vertebrates the pumping organ is heart only. Let us learn about it. This is the internal structure of heart. This is the internal structure of heart. Actually, it is a muscular organ which is made up of muscles. So because of the presence of muscles only, our heart contracts and relaxes, isn't it? So it contracts and relaxes in order to pump blood to all the parts or all the cells present in our body. Coming to the size of the heart, heart is about the size of everyone's fist. The heart is about the size of one's own fist. So this is our fist. So this is the size of my heart. So the size of heart varies from one person to other person. The size of the heart is as big as their own fist. Okay, actually detailed internal structure of human heart is not given in our CBSE syllabus, but in old syllabus we have detailed description actually. So we have different septa, we have different valves, we have different chambers are there. So detailed description is already given in the old syllabus. Videos are available in my channel. Please go through them. Those videos are available in transportation playlist. I will give those links in end cards and in comment section also. Please once go through them. If once you are aware of internal structure, then function of human heart will be easy for you. Okay, definitely try to watch the internal structure of human heart and then continue to watch the function of human heart here. Okay, next, actually our heart contains two types of blood: oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood. Oxygenated blood means the blood with oxygen. Deoxygenated blood means the oxygen with the blood without oxygen. That means the blood with carbon dioxide. Okay, the blood with oxygen is called as oxygenated blood, and the blood with carbon dioxide is called as a deoxygenated blood, and both have to pass through this heart only. So in order to prevent the mixing of these two blood, we have a different chambers in our heart. In order to prevent the mixing of deoxygenated and oxygenated blood, we have chambers in our heart. We have totally 4 chambers. These two upper chambers are called as atria. These two lower chambers are called as ventricles. Okay, right side chamber is called as right atrium. This is left atrium. Okay, right atrium and left atrium. This is right ventricle and this is left ventricle. Actually left side we have oxygenated blood and right side we have deoxygenated blood. Okay, in order to prevent their mixing, actually walls are present in between these chambers. Walls means septa are present, partition walls are present to prevent the mixing of these two types of blood. Okay, this deoxygenated blood which is present in the right side of the human heart actually has to go to lungs for oxygenation. Okay, this deoxygenated blood which is present in the right side of our human heart contains carbon dioxide. Actually it has to pass on to lungs for oxygenation. So in the lungs, already we have learnt in respiration topic. So in the lungs, what happens in alveolus? Exchange of gases takes place, isn't it? Oxygen from alveolus enters into blood capillaries, and blood capillaries, carbon dioxide from blood capillaries enters into alveolus, isn't it? That process is called as exchange of gases. So here also, in order to remove carbon dioxide and in order to add oxygen, this blood will pass on to lungs. Okay, and this oxygenated blood which is present on the left side has to pass to all the parts of our body. Actually all of our cells need oxygen for respiration, isn't it? All of our cells need oxygen in order to break food and release energy. So for this process they need oxygen. So this this left side of our human heart contain oxygenated blood which has to transport to all the cells present in our body. Okay, let us learn how blood passes through these chambers step by step. Actually, oxygen rich blood is present in lungs. Okay, oxygen rich blood is present in our lungs. So from these lungs, the oxygen rich blood, that means oxygenated blood, will first enter into the left atrium of our human heart. Left atrium chamber of our human heart. When the blood is about to enter into left atrium, this left atrium remains in relaxed state. Already I told no, heart contracts and relax continuously to circulate blood. Okay, the contraction phase of heart is called as a systole and the relaxation phase is called as a diastole. Contraction phase is systole and relaxation phase is called as diastole. When the blood is entering into the left atrium, actually this left atrium is in relaxed state. That means it is in diastolic state. Okay, after the blood entering into the left atrium, now this left atrium starts to contract. When this left atrium contracts, this blood which is present in it has to move into left ventricle. Okay, when the left atrium contracts, the blood will move into left ventricle. Actually already I told that between the chambers of our human heart we have partition walls, but between the atria and ventricles we have valves for the transportation of blood. The valve present between left atrium and left ventricle is called as this is bicuspid valve. So when the left atrium contracts, this bicuspid valve opens and the blood moves from this left atrium into left ventricle. When the blood is entering into left ventricle, this left ventricle remains in a relaxed state. That means it is in diastolic state. This left atrium is in contraction state when the blood is passing through it into left atrium. Now this is in relaxed state. Okay. After that again this left atrium starts to contract. So after receiving blood from left atrium, the left ventricle now starts to contract. So during contraction there might be a chance of blood to flow back into left atrium, isn't it? So in order to stop that process, this bicuspid valve closes. So when the left ventricle contracts, this bicuspid valve closes and prevents the backward flow of blood into left atrium. So now the blood will flow only into these blood vessel called as aorta, systemic aorta. That means the oxygenated blood which is present in the left ventricle will pass on to different cells present in our body through the blood vessels. Okay, different cells present in our body through the blood vessels. Already cells have undergone respiration, isn't it? Every cell performs respiration, and during this process along with energy some carbon dioxide is released. That is what we have learnt in our respiration topic. That means the blood which is coming from the cells contain carbon dioxide. Okay, that means they have deoxygenated blood. That deoxygenated blood, that means the carbon dioxide from different cells of our body will first enters into the right atrium of our human heart chamber. Okay, the blood which is coming from different cells of our body brings carbon dioxide and first opens into the right atrium of our human heart. Now this is in relaxed state actually. That's why it is receiving deoxygenated blood into it. After receiving, this right atrium contracts and opens a valve present between the right atrium and left right ventricle called as a tricuspid valve. So just like this, here also between right atrium and the right ventricle we have one valve called as a tricuspid valve. So when the right atrium contracts, the blood moves into right ventricle through this tricuspid valve. Okay, when the right atrium is in contraction stage, this right ventricle will be in relaxed state. Okay, after receiving this deoxygenated blood, this right ventricle starts to contract and passes this blood into a blood vessel called as pulmonary artery. So during the contraction of right ventricle, there is a chance of backward flow of deoxygenated blood again into right atrium, isn't it? In order to prevent it, this tricuspid valve closes. So ultimately the blood, that is deoxygenated blood from right ventricle, will pass on to the blood vessel called as pulmonary artery and reaches lungs for oxygenation. So this is how circulation of blood takes place in human heart. Okay, continuously the deoxygenated blood from cells enters into heart, and from the heart this deoxygenated blood is passed on to lungs for oxygenation, and from lungs the oxygenated blood again enters into the left side of heart, and from the left side it will pass on to the different body parts. Again from the body parts deoxygenated blood is passed to right side of the human heart. So this process goes on continuing. That means we can call that as a circulation of blood actually. Circulation of blood. So in order to facilitate that circulation, the walls of ventricles are very thick in nature. If you observe this internal structure diagram, the walls of atria are very thin when compared to the walls of ventricles, isn't it? Actually the walls of ventricles are very thick. Why? Because from the ventricles the blood has to reach distant parts of our body, isn't it? So from the left ventricle the blood has to pass on to the cells present from our head to the toe, isn't it? And from the right ventricle the blood has to pass on to lungs for oxygenation. So in order to reach to the distant parts, the heart pumps the blood with more pressure into the blood vessels. So the ventricle will have thicker walls in order to withstand the pressure exerted during the pumping of blood into blood vessels. Okay, and we have valves also here to prevent the backward flow of blood and also to allow the blood to flow from upper chambers into lower chambers. So that is what happens in our human heart.